You know when someone is selling from stage and at the end the audience gets up and rushes to the back of the room to buy? That's a table rush. My name is Mischa Z, and the Table Rush Talk Show is all about bringing you the tools, strategies, and tactics that you can use to grow your audience and inspire them to buy. All right. Hello. I've been ordered by my coach, Vince, not ordered. He's like, hey, start documenting the process. Start documenting the process of what you're creating and what you're up to. And this is in regards to, I've got this great idea for the Winfomercial and using my information, using my interview style and a specific interview methodology to help people create webinars, sales videos, stuff like that. And he's like, hey, document this process. And so I need to ask him, well, how do I document that process? What the heck does that mean? And so I am going to ask him that. But obviously, talking about where I am within that, instead of saying, here's what I've got at the end, saying, this is what I'm trying to figure out now. And this is my dilemma. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to talk about it on the podcast. So I'm all in on webinars right now. I love the webinar as a sales and marketing vehicle. It's clearly very, very powerful, especially if you follow certain methodologies, and there can be different reasons for webinars. But if you want to use a webinar, create a webinar that sells. So at the end, your perfect customer that has watched the webinar buys your product offering. And I love that, and I am working on becoming a webinar expert. And how about this? A sales video expert, or how could you say it? Creating video content that sells. And so I've got my fledgling Winfomercial process. But part of that is I was like, hey, Vince, I really want to create a webinar. Like, I need to do it. And I'm missing a couple key points for the webinar. And one of being like case studies. So I have a couple of in the middle of case studies, but I've got as I record this, like, here's the case study that proves concept, right? Like, that proves this Winfomercial that I'm going to create for you sells your product. Now, I do have proof that so far that my process will help you refine your target market, help you refine your product offering, help give you focus and confidence, help you create an effective offer stack, like put together your offer stack. So all this stuff, my process works for that, which is, maybe that's enough. Like a lot of people need the confidence and focus to, get on camera, to put together their webinar so they can get on camera. So I can absolutely help with that right now. Anyway, I want to create my own webinar that will sell this product offering that I have. And so, and it's got to do with a certain interview methodology and key questions, and the interviewer, putting in key bits of information, and et cetera, et cetera. And so I was like, Vince, like how am I going to do this? because I want to make a webinar, but I'm not seeing how to do it right now. He says, all right, well, first off, let's get you documenting the process. Okay, step one, here I am recording the process, my conversation with Vince, and the ideas he gave me. And so, he's like, hey, and in fact, you are going to be interviewing people, so you could do it. I'm walking up a hill now, so I'm breathing hard. I might stop here quick, hold on. Interview yourself, right? You could play both sides of the chair, because it might be tricky, but you could do it. And I'm like, yes, I could. Take some work, but I could do it. I could record me asking the question, and then, in fact, I would be asking myself the question, and I could answer it. And I love that idea. I was like, yeah, that sounds cool. And then he also said, hey, the other thing you could do is hire somebody to interview you and, coach them up on how the interview needs to go down. And he also gave some cool ideas. He's like, hey, make sure the interviewer is of this type, as a pro. Like, they got to be a pro, right? And one that's going to help emphasize your idea, your Winfomercial idea. And, excuse me. And so I love that. So he's like, perhaps have it be more of a low-key woman that, I can't remember exactly what he said, why, but it was along the lines of someone that helps emphasize the interviewee as being the star of the show, right? And I was like, oh yeah, great idea. So anyway, those were two ideas. And then the other thing was a lot of webinars have case studies and powerful customer testimonies. And so we were talking about ideas for that. They're escaping me as I record this, but I can tell you that one thing that I do is when I think the power of Zoom is that it allows us to record the conversations we have with coaches, with students, you can record stuff, and then you can transcribe it and listen to it later and read it later. And so I try and record as many conversations as I can on the Zoom, because it makes it so easy, so that way I can go back and pull out the key bits of information. And also the other thing it does is, I'm so used to having everything be recorded, it doesn't bother me nearly as much. I don't go into my head when I'm being recorded, which a lot of people do. They're like, oh no, I'm aware that I'm being recorded. So they fall out of their natural state, perhaps, and they try to put on a show or this or that, where I'm so used to it now that it's like, it's easy. It doesn't affect me in a egoic, I don't go into my head and start panicking or how should I act or this or that or whatever. It's just all good. I get to be me, which I think is very powerful and important. It's like the more you can record yourself, the better. Get used to it. What else was I going to say in that regard? Oh yeah, and so the other powerful thing about recording your conversations with people, of course, let them know, is that to go back and revisit the recordings, I get to see it in a new light. So Vince, for example, a lot of times I'll remember certain parts of the conversation one way, and then when I re-listen to it, I get to see from a new angle the point he was trying to make. And it's like, oh, wait a minute, I misinterpreted what he was saying, or I get a new interpretation of what he was saying that makes it that much more powerful. And there's two companies I use for transcribing right now. They are rev.com and otter.ai. But you can transcribe the conversation so you can read along and bold the key points for later. So like a lot of copy, I pull copy from those conversations because a lot of times ideas are bouncing back and forth. So there's copy ideas. So you can bold them and cut and paste them for later. So there's a key point. And then the other is you can fast forward the audio. I mean, not fast forward. You can buy 2 times. You can increase the rate of playback. So that makes it super effective. So if it's a 30-minute coaching call, you can listen it into 15 minutes or 10 minutes, or you can get to the bit you want to hear quicker, and then, what's the word I'm thinking of? Not inspect, but, focus on whatever. Find the bits that you really want to pay attention to, and then bold them and re-listen to them and make sure the concept is internalized. Anyway, enough out of me. Record everything I would recommend to you so you, A, get used to it being recorded, and B, it's so powerful to be able to go back to those recordings for reference and usable content later. And C, let everybody know that you're recording them. All right, I'm done. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Table Rush Talk Show. For resources to help you sell your stuff, go to belove.media/resources. That's belove.media/resources. And be sure to subscribe, comment, 5-star, and share. Thank you again for listening.